We are gonna build and paint a Warhammer 40,000 army and then list it on eBay. $1 bidding, no reserve.
Everyone knows the famous pro-painted listings on eBay. Do they make any money?
We're gonna find out. This box is full of the newest minis from Games Workshop for their brand new faction, Dwarves in Space. I think this is gonna be hard for me. I can't fall in love with it, it's not my baby. This is gonna be a product we make to sell on eBay to make money. Now, building Warhammer is not like building model airplanes. These kits have options, and lots of them. All these models have unique war gear that has an impact on how the game is played. An ion blaster is very different from an autarch pattern bolter, obviously. So I need to know exactly how I should be building these. I reached out to a friend of mine who knows the ins and outs of competitive Warhammer 40k. Yes, that's a real thing. Being a tournament-winning squat player, he hooked me up with the optimum build so this army will have maximum value to whoever buys it. Also, building models takes forever, so we're gonna keep track of our time spent because if we spend 100 hours on this box and sell it for $100, we'll have been paying ourselves $1 an hour, and that ain't great. I have just glued on the last squat head, which means we are done building. My timer says we've been working for 8 hours, so 16 hours between the two of us. I'm gonna get started on painting while Nick over here is gonna make us a fake business.
Well, I know a thing or two about making a fake business. Now, it's not actually a fake business. We actually are going to sell the models and ship them out. But Jay has sold models in the past as Jay from Eons of Battle for a reasonable price. But we want to see if a normie can actually make money selling models. I'm working on creating an eBay account now, and it's a lot of fun because I get to come up with a name, but I have to think of something that sounds real and also inspires a lot of confidence. The Painter Bros, the Paintaholics, the Miniacs, Goobertown, Squidmar. How about Painters R Us? It has a very nostalgic and vintage feel. Yeah, I'll try that. Perfect, it was available. Okay, so you can make a profile picture. Right? Isn't that fun? Well, I'm ready to go. Are you done yet?
I've almost started. I need a vacation. And that brings us to today's sponsor, Event.Cruises. Have you ever wanted to be building models, painting models, and taking part in narrative games on a boat off the coast of sunny California for 4 nights? Well, believe it or not, you can. Want to get some games in and up your hobby craft after hitting the beach with your squad? Well, then the Battle Barge Wargaming Cruise is for you. Play friendly doubles tournaments, enjoy narrative campaigns, attend painting workshops, learn to play new games, and compete in structured tournaments while en route to the next gorgeous island you will conquer on your vacation. Or if D&D is more your thing, check out the D20 RPG Cruise. Guaranteed gaming each day with professional DMs and contribute to a cruise-wide campaign to raise money for charity while you adventure. Exactly like the hero you are meant to be. Whatever your interests, take your hobbies on a boat and be surrounded by a community of people who love what you do. Also, we will be there. We are going on the Battle Barge Wargaming Cruise, so visit Event.Cruises, take the most unique vacation of your life. You can use the link in the description to battlebarge.cruises to use the code EOB100 to save $100 off your bookings until the sale date. But I'm not going on a cruise today. Today, I am painting. To make any minis look good, it's smart to have a plan, at least a little one. I don't just want to copy Games Workshop's box art, because I don't want to. It looks really boring. What I'm thinking is bright colors that'll draw the eye. Hopefully, the eye of Warhammer fans with deep pockets. So, I'm thinking a nice saturated orange for all the armor, and for the clothing I want to go with blue. Why blue? Well, because blue is the color of space, and these guys live in space. Now for the accent, the color that is gonna wow people. I'm thinking neon green. Why neon green? Just Google it. Tell me that color doesn't slap you on the face. I'll wait. This is what I want the squats to look like. I hope I can pull it off.
I'm looking at eBay right now, and there are people selling the same set. Buy it now, $600, $1,000. There's even one for $1,700, and one of those actually sold for that price. What we're doing is dumb. It's gambling. We actually watched a listing end recently, the new Horus Heresy box, that went for $550, and it was painted incredibly well. That's barely worth it, even if they got the box for free. So place your bets now on what this is going to go for. Oh, also, I don't know if you guys know this, but we have a Patreon with models and terrain. Really been enjoying the Chaos stuff recently, and we have a brand new tier where you can put your name on one of Jay's Space Marines on one of those little nameplate things. It helps support the show and also helps us lose money on projects like this. Hey, paint the f***ing models.
All right, time to paint these bad boys and girls up. actually kind of hurt. I black primed these suckers with my airbrush. Usually this takes a couple of squirts, but for a whole table full of models, it took some time. The air was getting cloudy in my paint dungeon, but now I am ready to do some squats. I sprayed on some white ink and a zenithal highlight, recreating light coming from above and a dry brushing of white to bring out all those details. It made for a nice black and white Oreo looking color scheme. It looked cool, but I want my squats to be colorful. So what I've done is painted my models black and white. I have all of my values in there, and now I'm gonna paint them up using transparent paint, specifically Army Painter Speed Paint. I set up my palette. Usually I just work in a corner, but usually I'm not painting 25 models at a time. I had to spread out, laying down all the colors I would need. On my squats, I gave the armor a 50-50 mix of orange and yellow, and on the clothing, some blue. The white underneath showed through, giving me some nice color value without much effort. Then gray on the guns, belts, pockets, and boots. I like how bright the orange was, but I felt the blue was lacking, so I used some light blue paint to bring the blue clothing up to match. I glazed this over top. I spent probably longer than I should have highlighting their butts. Nick's not gonna photograph their butts. The customer won't see their butts, but I can't leave a tuchus unhighlighted. I want these to look like crisp, fresh Levi's. On the guns, I painted on some hazard stripes. Any good soldier would want their weapons and armor to draw the eye, and these squats are definitely eye-catching. And a silver dry brush over the guns gave a nice shiny metal sheen over top of the gray base. On the faces, I painted their shades white, then got out the airbrush once again and squirted neon green, trying to make it look like their lenses glow.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
Their whole heads became green, but you know what? I like it. I finished off their domes with a light green wash, and I glazed some fluorescent green right over their lenses. I airbrushed some burnt umber ink onto the base, and that is a squat I can be proud of. And that is one squat. Now I know what colors I want to use, but is this a viable color scheme if I want to use it to paint this whole army in a timely fashion? There's only one way to find out, and that is to time myself. If I can make this happen in under 20 minutes of squat, I will actually be able to finish this army in a timely fashion, and hopefully make some solid cheddar doing it. Working at maximum effort, I finished this little fella in record time. 14 minutes, 25 seconds, and 46 milliseconds to finish one squat. That is great time. I have 25 squats here, so that's going to take me about 6 hours. 6 hours. I'm still gonna be here for a while. Oh, that took longer than 6 hours. But they're all done. Let me introduce you to the squats. The normal Hearthkin warriors I painted in two flavors, bolters and ion blasters. The bolters are my favorites with their all orange complexion and hazard stripe weapons, but the ions are good too with their white shoulders, which really shows off the Votan decals. And on the bikes, I painted those up very similarly to the little guys, but with a few minor differences. Let me show you. I put orange over the body. Speed paint is really good for this because it doesn't dry patchy like Games Workshop contrast paint. And gray and blue over the weapons and the squat Hearthkin Pioneer dusters. I used a small chunk of sponge to stipple on some silver to make battle damage. Like these floating bumper cars have seen some action. I am following the orange, blue, green triad that I've been working with, and speaking of that triad, I put neon green everywhere. The lamps, buttons, hover wheels. Once again, I got a little carried away, but it was worth it. Look at how much these bikes pop. These might be my favorite parts of this army, and I ditched Games Workshop's little flying stands in favor of pinning them to rock formations I got from a company called Epic Basing and printed using Sorayatech resin. The kin host is looking really slick. These squats are Dunyan rings, and it only took what, like 10 hours? Now the only thing left to do is to hand these off to Nick for some photographs.
Something I noticed while perusing eBay is most people have terrible photos, which is not really a surprise, but they're too bright or too dark or not everything's in focus. People write off those listings even if the models are actually well painted. I think this is the make or break step. If everything looks good and is clear, we can easily expect a couple extra $100. People always take photos on white or black backgrounds, which makes sense, it looks really good, but you only have a little square to show off your minis. It's gotta stand out. Jay painted the models to be bright, so I'm gonna complement that by using this red gaming mat. And I'm gonna elevate these cuties so it doesn't look like a giant blob. Now I'm using an over $4,000 setup. And I understand that most people aren't, which is good, that means that we'll have the edge. But really, the only thing that matters is lighting. It's important to take evenly lit photos so that everyone sees what's going on. I have the stage light, which is way overkill, bouncing light down on the minis, and I have these two streamer lights. Honestly, you could get away with these garage lights, which are $10 a piece. they spread the light pretty well and avoid harsh shadows. To get everything clear, I'm going to take a photo using my computer of each individual guy and then image stack them to make sure everyone is in focus. Because of physics, if this cutie's in focus, this guy isn't, at least at these settings. The groups are done, now time for the individual photos of the more interesting pieces. Now that we got people's attention with the red, we can switch to a neutral background for those sexy details. Hey, where are those 2 HQ guys?
I have a suspicion that the buyer is going to glance at the infantry, make sure they're crisp and clean, and then move on to the HQs, the leaders, to make sure that those look good, to make sure that I am actually a good painter. So I'm going to put maximum effort into these guys to make sure they're eye-catching. The kind of basic paint job they have now is fine, but I can do better. I glazed some bright red onto the armor to give it some sexy highlights. And speaking of sexy, I put a fluorescent orange highlight over that. This armor is as bright as it can possibly get. Then on the sword, I painted a gradient from black all the way up to neon green. And I can't forget about their little noggins. I painted these to the best of my ability, making sure they looked like real Space Dwarf heads, whatever that looks like. They looked a little funny as popcorn kernel-sized heads glued to Legos, but once I had them attached to their respective bodies, these 2 heroes were perfect. Look at these fellas! They are ready to rejoin the league and get eBayed. Is that even a verb? I don't know, but I'm gonna say it is. All right, it's the moment of truth. We got about 16 hours of building, 12 hours of painting, and 1 or 2 extra hours of miscellaneous work into this army. And it's very nice. I mean, maybe we just keep it.
We're not keeping it. We'll get this out.
Okay, we're gonna start the bidding at $1. Why $1? Isn't that a dumb idea if we want to make the most money? I figure if we start that bidding at $1, no reserve, we are gonna instantly skyrocket to the front page of everybody's search, immediately beating out all those people who priced their Warhammer reasonably. We're gonna get more views, more eyeballs, and more money. Or we won't. Maybe that's the dumbest thing I've ever said.
I bet it's gonna go for $800.
Ooh, okay, I'm gonna guess we get screwed 300.
Yeah, I mean, it's either we get screwed or it all works out beautifully.
All right, list it. We're 5 minutes out at the end of the auction. We're at tree fitting.
Nothing in a minute.
Somebody.
I bet that last minute, things are gonna just start flying in. Oh my gosh, nothing.
3 minutes. Somebody bid. Oh no.
Oh my God.
No. Oh, is this gonna be it?
This might be it.
1 minute.
Come
on, somebody.
Oh my God.
Anybody.
30 seconds.
Come on.
Oh no. Yeah, this is it.
That's it.
That's what it will be.
Someone sniped for 800.
Yeah.
Wow. Somebody got the deal of a lifetime.
Damn.
And it wasn't us.
Yeah, it was not us. It was not us at all.
Oh,
Wow.
Tree fitty. Well, the box only cost us 200.
Right.
So
Yeah,
150. 100 for me, 50 for you. That's
Perfect.
That's not the end of the world, I guess.
It's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I may have gone too far in a few places.